waka now, Pāhere Tiki Tiki. So I'd like to welcome Hoturoa to the stage. Kia ora tātou. Kua tahi mihi nei, tautoko nei ngā koro taku hoa. Kia koe te matua whakawhaeshi nei te wahanga I waina nui a rangi nui rau te whakatua nuku. Te ahiahi nei, hei whakatere nei o tātou waka I rungi ngā kaupapa e koro ki anei te mōni o tēnā koe. Huri no nei kia koe Jacko, mihi tonu kia koe e mōni. Tō harenga mai rungi tō tātou waka I te rānei. Kia hiko e tahi nei tātou rungi te moana me a tātou manuhiri o tātou whananga o tūranga nui āki o noere. Tēnā koe, tēnā tātou katoa. Taino atu kia koutou te haukainga I kahatiaki nei a mātou, o mātou waka. I ngā kaumoana o te waka hoki. Te kore tāia te kimi I ngā kupu hei mihi atu kia koutou mo I rā āhutanga, tēnā koutou. Kia ora tātou katoa. Kia ora whānau, it's good to be here. We had a good day out today sailing and all through the week it's been really good fun. We've had lots of the tamariki, we had, like Richard said, we had hundreds of kids all through the week and it's actually, that's the kind of stuff that makes me feel, get all excited and things about not just voyaging and waka stuff today, but also for the future, which is the kind of stuff that Tautirangi is going to talk to us all about as well. But in saying that, it was really great to hear our kōrero about tūpaia. I think often I think it's actually a really good example of how a lot of traditional knowledge tends to get relegated to some closet or something like that. It's not until someone else comes along and really brings it out that we start to understand the wisdom and the knowledge that comes from a lot of traditional kōrero, a lot of traditional ways of doing things. So thanks John, that was really awesome. And then listening to Jacko as well, it was cool because to see hear that kōrero, which hopefully ties into the kind of stuff that I'm going to be talking about as well tonight, because when we talk about our voyaging waka today, there's actually a number of things for me that come into the whole picture, and part of that is remembering how we got to where we are today, and that's listening to what Jacko was talking about and what all our tūpuna did and how great they were, not just at navigating but as building canoes, designing waka, being able to sail quickly across the ocean, and so we reap the benefits of those things today. Some of the waka that I'm going to show you in pictures that I have, because really all I've got is a bunch of pictures to show you and talk to you about, is that they're very fast. They're very fast vessels, to the point where I jumped off and came home from Samoa just last week, and our crews were getting ready, and I've got photos of those canoes on here, and they're based on their model that we see on the table there. These canoes left Samoa to travel to Fiji, to the outer islands of Fiji, which was just over 500 miles. And I was expecting them maybe to take 4 or 5 days to do that, maybe a bit longer because of the way we were talking when they were getting ready to depart Apia Harbour. But they got from Apia to Fiji, landed, cleared customs, and it took them 72 hours to do that. Okay, so I guess what I'm trying to say to you is that as we talk about voyaging today, we're going back and looking at all the old designs of the old wakas that our ancestors sailed, and like Jacko said, coupled with the lessons learned from the voyage of Te Aurere back in 1992, and all those things, all the stuff starting to come together to a point where we're actually starting to create a number of great navigators and a number of great sailors. And I guess my job and part of all of this is actually trying to encourage a lot of young people to become great sailors and navigators. And I always say when I sit and I'm talking to my crews on the wakas when we're getting ready to, especially with the young ones, I said, when you're at the stage where you navigate and sail a waka better than I am, our job's done. And that's what we're looking for, is for navigators and sailors. And remember, it's not just, we're not saying, when I say that, it's not, I'm not saying men who sail and navigate. We're talking about sailors and navigators. And we have some of the young women that are sailing with us today are some of the best sailors I've ever sailed with. And they're strong, they're knowledgeable, and they're brave. There's a lot of things that we do takes a bit, like Jacko said, you know, when he's watching those towering waves, he looked at mud and it instilled in him the desire to be brave and courageous. And you need to do the kind of things that we sort of get ourselves involved in sometimes. So we'll start off. This is actually a picture when we did a test run of one of these Te Pairua waka. And Te Atu was on board with us, and we sailed this waka, Te Matau Maui. We took it up to Samoa, and our test was to sail it from Samoa back to Aotearoa. And this is just us sailing it around on one of the lagoons in Babau, once we sailed from. It took us 42 hours, I think, to sail from Apia to Tonga. And the second time we did it was actually a little bit faster, and I think I can't remember if it was Joan or Jacko were talking about how fast canoes would go. We were actually getting our canoe up to 22 knots. Now that's quite fast for any kind of boat. And so we were charging along and having a great time of it. But it said that it's still a little bit dangerous, and so we have to be careful and keep worrying about that. But I thought I'd just introduce you, and I think it ties into those cool pictures of Tapu Tapu Ātea we saw. As soon as I got back from my last trip to Tapu Tapu Ātea, I went and dived into Sir Peter Buck's book, Vikings of the Sunrise, because I wanted to have a look at his old black and white pictures of Tapu Tapu Ātea to see how it had changed from that time to my time there. Then I pulled this little phrase out of his book. Is what manner of men were they who, by surpassing the achievements of the Phoenicians in the Mediterranean and the Vikings of the North Atlantic, are worthy of being called the supreme navigators of history. And so, with that in mind, I'm kind of keen for all our young up-and-coming navigators and sailors to reiterate these, or make these words resound around the world again. That the supreme navigators of history will once again be these young people from out of the Pacific. And we're working on that. So we'll just go through our little picture show now and have a look at some of the things that you've been getting up to. Now, I can't go past, and these are two really important men in the overall renaissance, not just of navigation and voyaging, but canoe building as well. And the man with the face of serenity in the face of tempest is that man over there that Jacko was talking about, Papa Mo, who broke the traditional molds and protocols of his people by teaching people, or by teaching the art of navigation to people that were not directly descended from him. So he broke that mold. And so what happened is that we created this great genealogy of navigators now throughout the Pacific, where we have 12 navigators out there who have their own lines of navigators coming from them. And that's something that's just, that 30 or 40 years ago no one would ever have believed. And I'm going to just take our... And he's the man who navigated Hoturoa from Hawaii. Hoturoa is the first canoe that I've got a picture of coming up. In 1976, he navigated a Hoturoa from Hawaii to Tahiti. And I asked him about this one time. I said, "Oh, Papa, you know when you sailed Hoturoa to Tahiti the first time, how did you know how to do that?" Because he'd never ever sailed that trip before. He'd never ever been on that trip. And he said, "Oh, my grandfather told me." And then when I said, well, when did your grandfather do that? He said, oh, but my grandfather didn't do that, but his grandfather told him. And then his grandfather's grandfather told him. And his grandfather's grandfather told him. And so really, why I'm trying to show that or talk about that to all of us is the fact that, you know how often people get a little bit, or they tend to be a little bit unbelieving of the ability to pass down pertinent knowledge by orally from one person to the next, to the next, to the next. And here we have a man who's never sailed this voyage, who'd been told how to do it by someone who'd never done it either, but had only talked about it. And he was able to achieve that. And on the other side here is our Hoturoa Unga Mai Busman, who was here just this week up at Uawa, flew home, back to his place up in the far north today. He's really been the motivating factor behind a lot of us in Aotearoa here. Getting on canoes and learning how to navigate, learning how to sail, and learning how to build them as well. And so what we've got is these two kaumātua from within the waka world have really been the linchpins of the kind of stuff that we're able to talk about today. And what I've got now is just a bit of a whakapapa of canoes for us to have a look at, to see the waka that have developed. We haven't got all of this, not a comprehensive whakapapa, but it's just to give you an idea of what some of the canoes are that are out there being sailed today, and then look at what from those earlier canoes that started sailing from the 1970s up to now, what we're doing with some of these canoes today. So here it is. This is for all of us who sail on our canoes today. This is like the matriarch of all waka that sail around the Pacific. Hoturoa is the waka that was built in in the early 1970s to celebrate the bicentennial of the United States of America, and it sailed from Hawaii to Tahiti to show that it could be done. And this is one of the first times that people got together. That's the canoe that Mo navigated from Hawaii to Tahiti, and this was the springboard for all the other navigators that we see in the Pacific Ocean today that are doing what we're doing today. This waka was the waka that sprung them into this huge commitment of sailing and learning about navigation. This canoe is still sailing today, and is getting ready to do a sail right around the world, which they estimate is going to take them about 4 years to do. But that's on their plans to come up probably in the next 2014, I think, or it might even be next year. But they've been working on planning this voyage for a long time, and what's happened now with the number of people who have been involved with learning all these relearning all these skills. Now we've actually got quite a large pool of sailors and navigators that are going to take responsibility for their job. Now, this is the first waka that was built here in Aotearoa, Te Aurere, and that's the first voyaging canoe that Unga Mai built. Now, in saying that, back in 1986, Hoturoa sailed to Aotearoa and landed up at Waitangi near the end of that year. There was actually also another waka that sailed through from Tahiti to Aotearoa as well, called Hawaii Nui. And I haven't got any pictures of that waka, but what we see happening is this desire to try and make more wakas and try and do the kinds of things that we're talking about today. So the second voyaging waka that Unga Mai built was this one, Ngahi Raka Mai Tawhiti, and which is about 3 years old now. It's about 3 years old, and we all headed up. This picture was taken actually from her the launch day that we all went up to, when she was launched up at Taipa Bay, and this is the waka that was up at Tolaga Bay just over the last few days, and doing little workshops and introducing the communities and the school kids and that from up that part of the coast to all the things that happen on these types of waka. Now, this This is the waka that we came along with Ngāhi Raka. This is Aotearoa that's been parked out here at the marina for the last few days, and taking all our rangatahi out for little sales, and some of the people that are here this evening came out for sale with us this afternoon, or this morning. And this is actually quite a big waka. It's 80 feet long. I guess it's in many ways, because it was built to try and help with education, to do the kinds of things that, or to make learning some of the stuff that we want people to learn a little easier. And in saying that, it has quite a lot of the modern or modcons of navigation and all those type of things on board, so you can actually teach people how to do things like estimate speed in terms of traditional methods, and you can have people sitting there and looking at the electronic data and saying, they'll be testing each other. Oh, how fast do you think we're going? Someone will make an estimate, and they'll look and say, oh, how close or not they are. And there's all these little other ways that we can use it as a teaching tool. But as you can see from the picture on the side there, we take heaps of young people out on this canoe. And there was one stage there, I actually got some quite good funding, and we did, for a year, we were doing these 1 week sales with people all around the Hauraki Gulf, with lots of fourth and fifth formers from a lot of the schools, from a lot of the secondary schools in our area. So that's Aotearoa 1, but Aotearoa 1 hasn't sailed overseas. It just sails up and down around the coast and stuff like that, and supporting where it can, different kaupapa that we get ourselves involved in. The next picture is, this is a little tipairua that back in 2003, because I'd be looking at all these old pictures and designs and things, and then I met a guy who's a boat builder out at Coromandel, and we sat down, we spent a long time talking, and I said, I really like the tipairua design, especially since I'd seen Te Awo Tonga, and all the little research that I'd done, which isn't really a lot, but what it did show me was that the kind of waka that I believe my team when it came on was a tipairua. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll make a little one. So we made a little one, and because those kinds of waka, according to all the kōrero, were all made of planks of wood that were stripped and then laid one on top of the other, that's how we built this canoe. And I used this one to teach a lot of young people how to sail, because the good thing about teaching people to sail on a little canoe, if you push the envelope a bit too much, all kinds of things go wrong. Whereas with a big waka, they're a little bit more forgiving if you try to push it. But on one of these wakas, they'll get pretty close to tipping over sometimes. And what it does, it just teaches them those basics of how to sail well, and how to sail quickly, and how to and learn, little things like tacking, all those kinds of things. On a small waka like this is really good. 4 of them can go out on it, and it can go fast, and they can have a good time. Now, this is our other waka, Homu, and this waka has been sailing all around the Pacific Ocean with a bunch of other wakas. There's 7 of them all sailing at the moment. These are the canoes that all arrived in Fiji from Samoa in that 72-hour time frame I was telling you about. And this canoe, in this photograph, is sailing off the coast of Hawaii. And I didn't put a map in here, but just to give you an idea of where these canoes have sailed. We started here in Aotearoa last year and departed in April, and the fleet sailed to Whakarawa, which is a small island just above Tahiti. After a few days here, me and Jacko flew up and met all the wakas, and then we had a little bit of a navigating wānanga, and then we did the first bit of navigating all the canoes with a lot of the new navigators from Whakarawa to the Marquesas. Then we did the big test, which was from Marquesas to Hawaii, which took us 12 days, something like that. It took us 12 days to get from Zikuhiwa to Hilo, and then from Hawaii they sailed to San Francisco, from San Francisco to San Diego, down to the Galapagos Islands, back to Tahiti, to Huahine, to Raiatea, to Bora Bora, Aitutaki, the Cook Islands, Samoa, and now they're in Fiji. But the reason I'm talking about that is because when we had the first kōrero, there was that talk about the kumara coming from South America. And what we did by sailing the canoes over to America and sailing down that coast showed, and coming home again, showed that we actually had the gear and the ability to do those kinds of voyages. That we could do that kind of stuff. We can sail right to the other side of the Pacific and sail back home again. And that's what these canoes are doing right now. Now, what's really great for me is that there's lots of young people doing it. There's lots of young people doing it. That's what's really great for me. And so this young man is he's steering Te Hoturoa Maui, which is this canoe over here, which is at the end of the trip. It's supposed to be making its home somewhere along this coast, and he was on with me and Te Ati when we did the first test run of this waka from Samoa back all the way back to New Zealand. And he was he was 15 on this trip when we did that trip, and so now what we've got is a whole bunch of rangatahi sailors. The two top pictures are pictures of the crew on Hoturoa. When we sailed last year at the beginning of our trip, on Hoturoa we had 16 crew and 8 of them were all under 19. And they sailed right from one side of the Pacific to the other, and they've become very good sailors, and they know a lot of the basic understandings of navigating without any electronic equipment. They're very, very good sailors. You know, I love sailing with them because all I have to do is sit at the back and go like this now. Because, you know, I've suddenly started to find that me being on a canoe is a bit redundant now. When we're sailing, I just sit there and just enjoy the ride. And it's great. And so here's some more than that. And these lower pictures, all the kids who've been sailing with us this week. So I don't know if some of them are your mokos or nephews and nieces and that, but those are all these other little ones, which I love, is that I'm hoping, especially if we have a vision for trying to do more of this stuff here, that these will be the people who will be sailing a waka here. You know, that's the kind of thing that we need to be thinking about. You know, not just a waka coming to visit you every now and then, but having all these people here working on your own waka down here. It will be great. Although I like coming here, I'm not trying to deal us out of a trip or anything because I'm having a good time here. But I think in terms of doing things for our rangatahi and for our communities, this is the stuff that works. This is the stuff that's great. And so these are all our young ones. And I just wanted to show you this, because this is that young guy that was on that picture I showed you before, that sailed with us to Samoa. That's him sailing on Te Aurere when he was 9 years old. And it's the same boy. And he's been in it that long. You know, at 9 years old, he's 15 in that photo. He just turned 19 the other day, but he was on a waka paddling down the Thames on that Wakatoa for Queen Elizabeth's Diamond Jubilee. So he celebrated his 18th birthday in Nukuhiva with us on the canoe last year, and then he celebrated his 19th birthday on a waka on the River Thames this year. So, you know, but he actually even says to me that his world is waka, and he loves it.
Who's his father?
Dick's his uncle. And so, with this new generation of voyages that we have, this is a picture of you sailing the 6 canoes under the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. And when they went there, what started to change, there's a big change that's happened. That we spent all this time recovering on knowledge on how to sail and recovering knowledge on how to navigate. Where our next step now is sailing our wakas to places and telling people about what they've got to do to save our world. Okay, that's the big thing now, because especially when you think about it for us, you know, we are ocean people, and all our whanaunga from around the Pacific, you know, the ocean is our livelihood. The ocean is our breath. It's the biggest living system in the world, and at the moment, we're watching it slowly die. Back in the old days, when our tupuna were tapu-tapu-ate, they looked to the distant horizon for a new place for them to, and a new way of life in a place far across the horizon. We can't do that unless you've got a spaceship. We can't do that. So what we're doing now is we're sailing our new pathways with our wakas, visiting people all around the Pacific, talking to them about what are the things we can do now to save our ocean. And that's the new way. And that's the new land that we're finding. So what's happening is that Aotearoa is starting to become our Hawaii, because we have to sail away from Aotearoa to find this new way of life. And if it works, we'll sail back home and we'll be, we're set, we're guaranteed our blue waka for eternity. But we've got to work hard on it. And so we've got all these young ones. Got all these young ones doing the Mai. And when we went to tapu-tapu-ate, Joe's right, we talk about it as a cradle of Polynesia. Everybody on our waka went there and we were really, really excited. But I can't wait for when we go back again with, and if it's on our sail plan after Rapa Nui, to head back around that way too. I think we're all looking forward to going there again. But just to sort of close, I just want to show you some video footage, because as we've been sailing around on this new journey, trying to educate the people about saving our ocean, saving the fish and all those kinds of things. Stop throwing stuff in the ocean. Stop emitting so much carbon dioxide that the reefs are dying, that the shells of our mussels and our paras are becoming thinner and thinner and thinner, that the shell of our koura are becoming thinner and thinner because of the amount of carbon dioxide in the ocean. What we're doing, as well as saying, is that we're part of this big film and documentary that they're trying to put out next year to talk about all these things. So I'll just play a few of the video clips from there so you can see that it's not all fun and games either. There's some parts of our voyages actually very testing. And if you think that there's these 15, 16 and 17-year-old kids sailing canoes and they're sailing on these canoes in some of these conditions, I think our ancestors would be proud looking at them.
It's a very spiritual journey for us. It's a huge statement and a huge honour to our forefathers. here we are thousands and thousands of years later still doing at least a fraction of what they ever achieved.